Now, it is possible, it turns out, to close up this grammar in the sense that you provide a fully specified, complete grammar in which the notion of port is specified, but we don't sort of step outside this idea here. And those are available. So here's a railroad diagram for such a construct. So essentially what we do, and this corresponds to our diagrams for the reflective idea before, the sort of introspective version of this calculus. We drop the notion of restriction, we drop the notion of replication, we add a notion of dereferencing a port. Well, what is a port? Well, a port is a reference for a quoted process. So in other words, we take a process and then we sort of create a reference for it, and then we can also dereference that reference. In other words, get back the process that we wanted. We have the usual notion of composition. We have the usual notion of summation and prefixing. Input is the same. Output is different. We're now outputting processes, parenthesis bounded, comma-separated listed processes. And intuitively, what's going to happen is that when these are outputted, what are outputted are references to the processes. We think of references, but we could also think of them as the codes of, or quotations of these processes. And now this is a completely fully specified grammar. There are no left out productions. And inside this grammar, we find sort of this mutual recursion between a notion of process and a notion of port. And you can actually see that visually. So a process in some sense depends upon port, and port in some sense depends upon process. And again, you can take a gander at this URL here to study this diagram further. So that's where I'm going to stop for now.